あるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker. Huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking. Huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper with the little, cause on my lap. A shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I try
It's episode 115 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka Marty Gianetti, and with me, my main oos, Mike. Wait, I can't say Marty Gianetti right now, dude. He's kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
Damn.
He's just
Never
a
mind.
bullshitter.
I'm not
It's
Marty
okay.
Gianetti.
Hey, motherfuckers, it's Mike, aka Super Smelfin.
Today's topic, buy now and sell later. The Virtual Pros once again pull out that crystal ball and predict which modern wrestling merchandise will become grails in the future. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes, Spotify. Where else are we? YouTube if you want to watch our mixtape. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Also, another medium of participation. We have a very active Discord these days. So if you want to join that, I think you can just find that in our link tree.
Yes.
Which I think is only on our IG. Maybe also on our Twitter.
Yeah, it's on the Twitter too. If you go look at the Twitter profile, it has a link tree there and has all the pertinent links. I do think it has a SoundCloud link, which is expired, but outside of that, I think it has everything covered.
You can still hit that heart, and I'll still like it. It's fine. It's just there's only like 2 episodes. A couple of emails, and I think we might have a Discord question. Or did I imagine that? Okay.
No, we do, and we got some more emails at the last second. Some more came in, so we got a good amount. First one's from Joe, as always. Cup of lurking coffee. Alan Mike, I do creep in the AEW Pod Van Dam Discord and have peeked in yours because I called him out last episode if you guys didn't hear it, because he said he doesn't use Discord and stuff. And then because I have people in the industry, in the Discord industry, and I said Joe's supposed to was in that Discord all the time. They called him out, but he says, I do creep in those Discords and have peeked in yours. Still doesn't get any less scary. I do have an active Twitch account that I used a few years back to watch one of the Triple Manias and may try to watch Pain Pigs or Impact. See, the truth comes out now, Joe. You said you don't use this stuff, and now you got it all. So, we're fucking lying. I would say TNA were the kings of Here Today, Gone Tomorrow runs up until they were on Spike TV. The tops of which had to be Cheeks. I don't remember anybody in TNA named Cheeks. Some of my faves were Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson showing up in ECW. What about the giant Paul Lauria's 3-week run in ECW as Mikey's nemesis? Shane Douglas's Dean Douglas run in WWF, where at the time your boy Meltzer had him pegged as everything from the Isaac Yankum character to an on-air heel commissioner. What about the Headhunters as the Squat Brothers in WWF? That was a good one too. I expect a full retraction on that Terry Funk story next episode. Love, Joe, a.k.a. wear a mask if you're leaving the house, a.k.a. I'm not saying please, a.k.a. I think I'm going to wear a mask forever.
Dude, me too, man. I'm fucking into the mask, man. Like, shaving has become like maybe 25th on like my priorities these days. I don't fucking care anymore, dude. Mask all day, it's fine.
The problem with not shaving, though, is then it gets really itchy. I don't know how people...
Yeah.
I don't know how people with beards do it. It must suck for you to wear masks, but... I forgot that the Headhunters were named the Squat Brothers. That was a really, really good name. And I'm not going to retract that Terry Funk story because it's fucking true. And I showed Al the pictures to prove it. And the internet has backed me up that was definitely not just a friend hug that you give to your friends. And that's a hug you give to your lovers. So yeah, I'm not retracting that.
No, man. I'm still kind of 50-50. I mean, it's like a prom photo, dude.
I know, and you know what you do at the prom, you fuck. So I don't know. And there's several photos of them like snuggling together. So I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, maybe they had some weird photo shoot for one of those Japanese wrestling magazines, but I don't believe it. I think they were screwing.
Next email is from Abraham. He sent us a documentary about his backyard federation. It had a cool name, right? It's kind of
it's in there. It's a full email. It was called Jaw Smashed. It was just a trailer, and I put it in the last Pain Pigs. It's in there. The trailer is.
It was pretty sweet, but yeah, he made a trailer. It was pretty good. But his question was in the email, what do you guys remember watching wrestling-wise on YouTube back in the day? It was all shoot promos and move compilations for me. Abe. Yeah, move compilations were pretty hot. A lot of MVs set to Linkin Park was something that I would watch to pass the time. I don't recall like any shoots being that long because I feel like early YouTube there was like a 15-minute limit, I want to say.
There was a 10-minute limit.
There you go. So, I mean, it didn't really come across my radar, but maybe for you it did, Mike. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was day one on YouTube, and that's true. The 10-minute thing really killed it. I wasn't too big into switch because, you know, they would put stuff up and then we put it in parts, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. But so I never really checked for wrestling, and I'm not a big music video highlight person. I don't like that shit. I did like years and years ago. It's too much to get into, but I did steal somebody's Sarah Del Rey music video and just put my own music over it and reposted it. But that was like part of a whole other thing that's like, you know, bigger part of the story. So, but outside of that, I don't think I can't even think of like the first substantial thing wrestling wise that I took from YouTube or like looked for even. I don't really think I even started really looking for wrestling stuff until we started doing this podcast because I don't know. I didn't really think of it. Outside of that, maybe I would look at like people's shows, but yeah, I didn't really look at wrestling stuff until we started doing this podcast. Next email is we got an email from Arturo telling us to keep the music going, fam. That's just, that's some spam.
Okay.
Though. DC.
Oh, man.
It's DC. DC here, a.k.a. Io Shirai, a.k.a. Rey Mysterio Jr. Seau, a.k.a. Dwight Howard Finkel. 1. I know AEW doesn't give much backstory to their athletes, but would you explain who Jungle Boy's father is to the audience? If so, how could this be used as a storyline? 2. Mike, during quarantine, how many food spots have you tried via food? How many new food spots have you tried via food delivery services? I think Jungle Boy's whole deal is that he doesn't want to like make a big thing out of who his dad was, and I'm fine with that. He's like, you know, he kind of already etched out his spot, and he's a young dude, so I don't think he really needs to do that dad shit. So I think it's cool with just never telling the audience who his dad is. As far as new food spots, I've you know, every once in a while I'll check a new one out. The only one that's kind of that's like a permanent one now is, and I don't know if I just never noticed it before or if they only start delivering because of the quarantine and the pandemic. But there's a barbecue place that delivers to me named Bro-in-Laws, and it's like ribs and stuff like that. And outside of that, I don't really have any of those types of places that are close by enough to like deliver. So that's pretty sweet to just get like regular ass ribs and don't have to pay like $16 a pound for anything like that. So that's like the one place that I was very happy to find during these hard times.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have Luke Perry, rest in peace, be known as Jungle Man in any storylines currently. DC, I could be wrong here, but I think you're a Wizards fan. And if so, 1 to 10, how much faith do you have in Rui Hachimura? Because right now, I'm all the way in with his rookie cards. So please let me know. I need some market research. He looks good to me, even though the other day he shot like 3 of 12, but I still believe in that guy. Next email is from my man, Denzel, a.k.a. He'll Make It Ho Ho Looney. Titled Quarantine Hobbies. Hey, gang. Since quarantine might last forever at this rate, what kinds of things have you picked up to keep yourselves busy during this involuntary time at home? I've been drinking a lot, for fucking sure. That's been pretty sweet. There was a sale on Hennessy Priv, $42.99 at the Costco's, and I might have taken advantage of that. I think the first big thing I did was watch The Sopranos in full. Like, I've seen a bunch of episodes, but never in order. And so it was like really nice to fill in the gaps. And now like all of the memes make sense. So that's been pretty big for me. Been playing a lot of video games. I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought that was super good. And then I beat Last of Us 2 recently. It didn't make me cry at all. First half was pretty pedestrian. The second half saved it, I thought. Overall, I think it's worth a play, but been trying to run, but I think I'm just too washed to run these days. My knees hurt.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of drinking too. I decided that I should probably cut back on that because you know, back in the regular times, I would drink on at least Friday and Saturday. I guess I would drink all weekend, but not like heavily. And I wouldn't drink at home. I'd just go to bars. But now I'm like drinking at home those days. I'm drinking during the week. It's just a fucking mess. So I was for a minute just drinking during work hours too, but I stopped that at least. So I'm improving a little, but not much. I think I remember one day I just like started drinking at like 9 a.m. during work because I was like, what's the fucking matter? But outside of that, like productive things, I started doing that Pain Pig stuff, and I did that not just because I want to please other people because I don't really care, but I always kind of wanted to learn like at least a remedial amount of video editing because it's like one of those things where it just seems like it's such a hard concept to me, and now that I know how to do it, that's pretty cool. So, and so it's cool that I started. That's the reason I started. I don't think I'm ever going to really progress past what I know, but at least I know how to do a little. Like, so if I'm called on to do something, I can do it. And I started learning Spanish. I've found out that those apps that are like, oh, learn a language, they're kind of bullshit. Like you can learn a language through them, but not really. Like it's all just memorization kind of exercises. And
you're doing like flashcards and shit.
I mean, not even that. It's just kind of like they knew extra. I guess flashcards are sort of like that. I mean, you do learn some like, the basics of a language by doing that, but you're more memorizing things. You're not learning things. So it's just like, I know a whole bunch of Spanish words, but I don't know why. I don't know the origins of these words. So it's just kind of like, I'm a little frustrated by it, but I feel I'll do these courses and then after that I'll like pursue something that could actually teach me Spanish. But, I'm doing pretty good. I'm trying to watch more Mexican wrestling just to have it. Because, if you stop learning a language for like 2 weeks, you're just going to fucking forget everything you learned. So I'm trying to keep it on in the background here and there.
Me llamo Al. Me gusta videojuegos was my go-to when Senora Alvarez would call on Alejandro in Spanish 1.
Next email, and then I think there's a Discord question. Next email is from Emilio. Wrestling nerds, sup pros. Every other wrestler is a Poindexter now. Low-key worked an entire Wrestle Kingdom match as Agent 47 from Hitman. Kenny Omega made a 10-minute commercial for an indie game that New Japan refused to air before the Tanahashi match at the Dome. What's the most egregious example you can remember of this shit? Have there been any cases of it being all right or actually enhancing someone's character? Emilio, a.k.a. Chris Benoit. See, I don't even know English that well. I thought that was egregious, but it's actually egregious. It was somebody, I don't know who wrote in because it was a while ago, but somebody fucking wrote into this show. And it might have even been Emilio. I don't know. But somebody wrote into the show and was like, what's the deal with all these wrestlers doing cosplay stuff and wearing video game stuff? And I like never really noticed it until that person pointed out. And now I always notice it and it's fucking aggravating to me. And so I think they're all kind of tied for me. It was okay when it was like a few people. Like I remember, years and years ago when Cody Rhodes first started in WWE, he was like, oh yeah, I have the Triforce on on my boots. I was like, oh, that's a fucking nerdy thing, but whatever, you know, that's cool, I guess. He really likes Zelda. And now it's just like to the point where these wrestlers, what's her face? Fucking, not Tegan Knox. What's the other Australian girl? Rhea Ripley. She's wearing like some anime shit or whatever the fuck it was. I don't even know what that is. And it's to that point where, I mean, I know I'm old and I don't watch this shit, but it's to the point where you're just wearing like weird costumes, and if it's not something obvious, or you know, if it's not like Finn Balor or Rey Mysterio coming out as like Spider-Man or something like that, and you're just like, oh, Spider-Man, that's cool. I like Spider-Man too. If it's not something like surface level and you're just dressing like an obscure anime character, like what's the point? Who is this for? So everybody's tied for being a nerd now, I think.
I mean, for me, when it comes to enhancing someone's character, I mean, I'm a big fan of Kana-chan TV. And when I saw her playing some shmups, I'm like, oh shit, like, Asuka's for real. So shmups are like those airplane games, like 1942 and like Gradius and shit. And like, you gotta be like a real one to play those games. And I think she was like talking about playing Snatcher the other day. And I was like, okay, Asuka, I can respect this. I don't respect like Xavier Woods buying like 9,000 video games and then being like trash at Street Fighter. That's like not respectable at all. To me, at least. Like if you're going to be like that much into games, like at least be good at them. I would think. I don't know. Like what are you really buying them for?
I noticed that with, not this isn't wrestling, but I was thinking about this the other day. The Angry Video Game Nerd, that guy made a career out of playing video games and making YouTube videos out of them. And anything he plays like beyond Super Nintendo, he's just fucking so shitty at. And it's just like, wow, dude, you play, I mean, I guess you're stick to your gimmick and you really only play like Nintendo stuff, but it's weird to dedicate your life to something and then kind of be trash at like video games. Like I suck at most video games, but it's also not really my career.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a video game journalist and like he was pretty poppin', and then like someone found out that he couldn't do like a Hadouken in Street Fighter, and then it was a wrap for him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually cool with that. Like, if you can't do a quarter circle, I don't think I respect your opinion on any video game, personally. Anyway.
So there's a couple Discord questions. First one's from Smoltz. Quick question, hopefully right under the wire. Now that you've had a couple weeks, months, who cares, the time isn't real anymore, of wrestler crowds, I ask, which is worse? Fans trying to get themselves over in the crowd, or wrestlers trying to get themselves over in the crowd? Oh, wait, is this? I'm sorry, there's a few questions now. I'm going to back up. Pretend I didn't read that. Next one's first one. Actually, I'll just get in the overall. So fans trying to get themselves over in the crowd, or wrestlers trying to get themselves over in the crowd? Smoltz, a.k.a. Sue. Oh, Trent's moms. That's a bad one, Smoltz. That doesn't. I got to try again. I haven't noticed in the pandemic crowds of fans really trying to I guess, you know, a little. I think it's pretty horrible. I mean, I'm going to get into this later too, and I think the next question too, but Two-Man Scramble's really going to cover it. But I think it's pretty horrible that all these promoters are pretending to take these precautions, and then in like every single match, a wrestler's in the crowd, and it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? This shit's fake. You don't have to be in the crowd right now, and you shouldn't be in the crowd, because you surely are not getting tested, and you're not wearing a mask. You're a fucking awful person. So I think the wrestlers are worse.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Mike, but someone sent me a reminder that Zelina Vega dressed as Vega from Street Fighter. And that also enhanced her in my eyes.
Yeah, see, that makes sense. That's her name. So it's fine. Wild Rice wrote, howdy boys, with COVID-19 continuing to ruin everything and the king of sports damn near on life support, I'm wondering if you have updated predictions for the year ahead. What will pro wrestling look like a year from now? How will indie wrestling survive the winter? Will next summer see a glorious return, or just follow the corpse of our beloved sports entertainment? Thank you for keeping the pod and Pain Pigs going throughout this hellscape. Cheers, Wild Rice, no AKA. It's crazy because I'm not an indie wrestling person. I'm not in I don't run an indie wrestling promotion, but from what I gather, it's kind of like a podcast, except there's money involved. I mean, there's money involved in a podcast too, but it's very, very low money. But I mean, we've had stopped doing this podcast for months at a time before. and I'm still paying the bills. Like they're low, but I'm paying the bills. And then we just start back up, and and that's it. I don't understand where the indie wrestling, how they just can't stop and just like start back up. Like maybe they own a ring and they have to like rent a storage space for that, and that's like money. But maybe get a Patreon or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem like you need to run indie wrestling, so I don't know why they're doing it outside of just like selfish reasons. But again, we'll probably get into that 2-man scramble. So I don't know why they're doing it, and I don't think it's gonna the winter when you can't do these outside shows anymore. You're just gonna have to be more sleazy and be like, oh, we really clean the inside of this abandoned warehouse where you have to fucking shit in a bucket. It's super clean, so I don't know. Hopefully it dies. Like I'll get into it later. As far as the other stuff, it's kind of weird. Like New Japan is trying some kind of like weird stipulations tournament and talking about doing a current class death match. And I think it's cool that they're experimenting doing this when there's like low stakes, because there's no real audience. I hope this doesn't continue once there are real audiences, because I'm not really too into this. This is not why I watch New Japan. So I hope they get it other systems, but yeah, I mean, everybody chill out. It's fucking wrestling. Real sports take breaks, and I'm sorry to say, I mean, wrestling's my number one, but real sports are a lot more important than wrestling. So if they can take breaks, I think wrestling can take a break too.
1000%. There's no fucking expiration date on angles.
Yeah.
Just fucking restart it when it's safe. That's just my thing. That was the last question.
Turning heel asked really quick. Marty Gianetti definitely killed that guy, right?
For sure.
I'm saying no. That dude,
okay.
This thing is so weird, man. That dude has been bullshitting on fucking Facebook for years, and now everybody all of a sudden takes him seriously. I mean, there's still fucking bozos out there that think the Iron Sheik really tweets his own tweets, and it's not just some guy tweeting for the Iron Sheik. So maybe those are the same people that are up in arms about this Marty Gianetti. But he just said, "Do you think this guy's really having sex with 19-year-olds? He's a fucking loser. He probably lives in a studio apartment. What do you think? Like some fucking 19-year-old is gonna be like, oh, that old man, he's so hot."
That old rocker.
I loved Marty Gianetti when I was negative 17. He was my favorite wrestler. So yeah, I don't know. That guy's a fucking loser.
Yeah, I don't think he did it either. That was it. If you have any burning questions for your two friends on the internet, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. 2-man scramble time, and you kind of fucking addressed it, but I'll still bring it up anyway. Shingo Takagi, at this point, the second best member of LIJ, he wants to do a current blast death match or for the Never title at Jingu Stadium. Will this revive the fighting spirit inside your body, Mike?
I think
it's no.
I mean, I've said it on the Discord that it seems to these days when the people say current blast death match, it just means that bat that does the sparks, and that's cool for like lower wrestling in Japan when it's just like, you know, some bullshit indie wrestling. But I don't need to see that in a baseball stadium. So if he's really wants to do it, it better be the full deal. It better be the full explosion of the ring. And if they pull that off, I'll be all about it. But if it's just a bat, I mean, I could see that anywhere at this point. If they need to go big or go home for me.
If I see Red Shoes in that fucking Homer Simpson like isotope like get up, I'd be fucking pumped, dude. But yeah, I think it's gonna be the bat. I skipped this question and I fucked it up, but since we are now card pros as well, tell me what you bought recently.
I haven't really bought much. I'm not really. I live with a lady, and I think she'll just get like. I mean, I'm already pushing the limits. I have a fucking doll son named Carter that I just have a lot of weird shit going on, and so if I start bringing cards in this house, man. But I got the Austin Powers collectible card game, which is like Magic but with Austin Powers, and pretty pumped about that because I pretended like I was gonna actually play it, but I like looked at directions and I was like, I can't play this. This is stupid. But I'm just amazed this fucking thing exists. You know, it's cheap as hell. I don't know how something so amazing could be so cheap. So I picked that up. There's these other cards that were super cheap that I'm kind of surprised they were cheap called Rad Dudes, which I've had at different time periods in my life. They're kind of like a real lazy ripoff of Garbage Pail Kids, just in the way where they were just, fictional drawings of characters. And they're just like dudes doing rad stuff. That's why they're called Rad Dudes. I've always liked the art of it, and they are just like, I think it was like $15 shipped for a whole sealed box of it. So I picked that up, and I just found out today, I don't know how I missed this when they were new, but Pro Set, which was one of my favorite brands of cards when I was collecting cards back in the day, came out with a, was it Pro Set? I think, did Pro Set do UMTV Raps cards? Who was that did those? I can't remember off the bat, so maybe it's not Pro Set, but either way, they made Saturday Night Live cards in 1992, which is like peak Saturday Night Live, and I never knew they made Saturday Night Live trading cards. The one box I found was like a little too high for me to I don't know, to just like hash it out with myself to be like, this is a good investment. But I'm going to keep my eye on them. I'd really like a whole set of Saturday Night Live cards.
Speaking of collectibles that might interest you, have you seen how much King of the Hill action figures from 2002 go for?
Oh, they've gone for that for many years.
Is that true? My goodness, fucking Boomhauer was $250. It's insane.
Yeah, it's just because they made that, like, they made a one and done series, and then the show kind of got more popular in syndication, and I mean, people still love it. So I don't know how the rights work, but they make, like, I bought like a Hank Hill blind box, so somebody actually, they have the ability to manufacture these and make more dolls. So I don't know why people just don't go fucking crazy with it. They'll obviously sell them.
Card Pros has been a pretty weird journey for me the past 3 weeks. It was pretty low stakes initially. I was just buying wrestling cards, and that was fun. And then the NBA season started, and then I saw how much these things were going for. And it's taken a pretty dark turn, Mike. The other day, this is going to be a tough confession here. Have you heard of these things called group breaks?
Yeah, I know what that is, yeah.
So I did one, and I paid a man real money to open a pack of cards for me while I watched it live on the internet. And that's like a degree away from cucking, I think. Like, I was fucking fiending so hard to see whether or not I could hit a John Morant that I paid this man with money I had earned through work. And I think that might be at least top 3 most shameful things I've done on the internet.
So how's this work? Do they weigh the packs so they know something good's in them? They know it's a hot pack?
So it seems like it's on the up and up. Like, this guy, he just has like an unopened box of just more unopened boxes, and he slices the cellophane right in front of everybody. And so the pack that I had joined in for, it was 6 spots, and so like 6 people are guaranteed a pack. And of course I got 6 out of 6, so the last pick. And I think the best card I got was like Victor Oladipo, and it was like a $2 card.
What's
that made me super sad.
But why can't you? Do you not have the ability to buy these cards on your own? Or are you too much of a peasant to just go buy a Victor Oladipo card by yourself?
Oh, sir, dude, I go to the card shop all the time now, but it was 1 o'clock in the morning. They're not open, Mike.
Oh, so it's just kind of like a degenerate thing. Because I've seen, for whatever,
it's a super degenerate thing.
Yeah, for whatever, I'd always see like I think it would be on Facebook or Instagram. I'd always see an ad of people doing card breaks for like 1959 Bowman like baseball sets where it's like $600 a pack, and you're just you're just throwing in $50 and hoping for the best. For doing it for new cards, that seems to be very degenerate.
Yeah, so I've done this 3 days in a row. I stopped because nothing good happened. But today,
do they actually mail them to you, or you're just like, forget it?
Well, I still want that Victor Oladipo card, man. I paid some pretty good money for that fucking pack, dude. I think Sabonis was in there as well. There was like an autographed rookie of like some bozo on the Cavs, but either way, today I was redeemed. I got some MVP LeBrons, and it's weird to like want a card that's, of a player that plays for the Lakers. It's that, and like, like when I collected cards like in the early 90s, like you didn't want any Mark Eatons, you wanted Michael Jordans. But like in today's like age of collecting, you want rookies, and so people want like Bol Bol over like Paul George. And I'm like, what? Paul George is like a proven commodity. You want Bol? And there's a guy named Kyle Guy on the Kings. He's just like this, like, you know, white shooting guard. And people are paying like $300 for this Kyle Guy card. I'm like, dude, this guy hasn't sniffed the floor for more than 2 minutes, like this entire season. And so it's just an interesting time for cards. I mean, I think AEW's making some cards to make this wrestling topical, but man, I'm all the way in, dude. It's pretty scary.
Maybe I gotta get back into basketball cards. That reminded me, I stopped buying, but I think basketball was like the last cards I was buying after all other sports. And I remember, I think it was 1994. I can't remember what brand it was, but I remember buying a box and I got like 27 Adam Keefe cards. And I was like, fuck this. I'm never buying fucking cards again. And so like anytime, like Adam Keefe does not pop up. He didn't become anything. Like that was his rookie year. He didn't become a star. So like anytime I happen upon his name, I'm like, fuck that guy. Like that's the guy who made me stop buying cards, is I had just like got like 27 of his cards and I was like, these are never going to be fucking worth anything. This is a stupid hobby. And I just quit.
Dude, Mark Eaton was mine too, man. Mark Eaton, the fucking guy on the Jazz. I was like, no, man, give me Dominique Wilkins. But I'd always get Mark Eaton. It was fucking upsetting. Anyway, best and worst of Wednesday. Full disclosure, I did not watch any wrestling because I was looking at cards. So
it's really becoming card pros.
I'm telling you, man, I'm really trying to make this pivot, Mike. Wrestling stinks, dude. Let's fucking go in on some cards.
It's going to be card pros and Espanol. That's going to be...
That's fine. Me gusta.
No me gusta, Adam Keefe. That's for sure.
So I think I read this right. So tell me if this is correct. Did a 6 versus 6 12-man tag really happen on AEW? If so, that's the best thing that happened yesterday.
I mean, it did happen.
I heard it was good too.
I thought it was, I don't know, it was too many people for me. It's too many, that Dark Order, it's too many scrubs on that team. A lot of them are 5 foot or under, it seems. A lot of them seem like they would have a lot of hard time going to an amusement park and getting on certain rides. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, there's a lot of people in that match, but everybody else was pretty high on it. I thought it was decent, but whatever. Worst
of Wednesday, are they really having former NXT champion Adam Cole wrestle a former NFL kicker that's best known for being adamant about wearing shorts with blazer jackets? Like, I think that's happening. They try to make it a shoot, and then it wasn't, obviously.
Yep. I watched.
And now they're really going to wrestle a takeover. What happened to NXT, man? This was my favorite promotion for a couple years, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I watched. I watched NXT for the first time in a long time, pretty much since the first or second episode since it went live. For this very segment, I'll say my best was the Broski. He's back at it. He had a match in AEW, and I think it's very weird that we're entering a time period where Zack Ryder, or Matt Cardona as he's known now, is going to have to be in matches that last longer than 5 minutes. And matches where he gets to pin people. It's going to be very strange. I don't know if he's a good enough wrestler, but I'm here for it. He's still doing that kind of, I would say, polarizing finishing move, but he changed the name of it to Radio Silence. Used to be called the Rough Rider, which is a way cooler name, but
yes.
But yeah, so I'm happy. I was sad that he couldn't continue his debilitating hobby of buying wrestling dolls, so he's back at it. He has a job. And my worst is also this podcast man who always wears shorts year round. It's basically Kevin Smith. He's Kevin Smith who played football, basically. He's a legitimate contender for a man who has been stuck in NXT for 7 years now. And it's just like, but yeah, I watched that whole episode and oh man, I don't know, man. NXT is like it's a little better MLW where it's just like a bunch of guys you think are cool and they're having like 5-minute matches. And you're just like, yeah, that was a wrestling match. All right. I gotta say, their women's division is definitely the best women's division in America, probably. So they have that still, but everything else, man, it's just like aimless wrestling. And I don't know, man, they need to make like NXT Red and NXT Blue or something, or do something. But they have like 500 dudes and ladies, and it's just too much. So yeah, those are my best and worst.
I think someone followed us on Twitter recently, and I think it was just is Eddie Kingston on AEW.
Yeah.
If someone can make is Io Shirai on NXT a thing, I would follow for sure. I'm pretty sure you might have this as well, but I'm going to snatch it, and this is my last topic. So AEW, they officially announced Heels, a paid online subscription service geared towards the female wrestling fan. And for a low $49 a year, members, they receive access to a variety of features, including virtual meet and greets, video conference discussions with industry experts, exclusive AEW talent Q&A sessions, customized merchandise, promotions, themed parties, and more. Mike, say your adult job gave you like a $50 stipend to join a pro wrestling fan club for whatever reason. What exactly would you want as a member?
Membership card for one. For two,
yeah, for sure,
a yearly magazine subscription, or at least a newsletter. It doesn't have to be once a month. It could be like 4 times a year or something. But I'd want that, and of course, like a year-long actual discount, like a meaty discount, like at least 15%, but probably 20 or 25% more like it. That's bare minimum. Like that's gonna, and anything under that, I'm not even pressing about more. Learn more about this. I'm just gonna click right off of it. But so yeah, that's a bare minimum for me.
I was going to go all in and make fun of wrestling fan club members, but I just realized I've been a 2-year fan club member of New Japan Pro Wrestling because I needed that to enter the Wrestle Kingdom drawing. And for, I think, $54, you get a quarterly magazine. You do get a membership card, and it's pretty nicely designed and well built. It's plastic. They give you like a ticket holder, and I think you might get a signed autograph for your birthday.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
don't have that card. I know. I don't think you get a discount from the New Japan store. But my other question to follow up is Heels one of the best grifts you've ever seen in professional wrestling?
Dude, it's beyond anything WWE could ever do, because WWE is out of touch when it comes to like content. But they know their fans. They know their fans are like poor white trash, basically, and they know how to manipulate them. They know you can't somehow they hook the affluent fans with the belts. They know how to do that. They also know you can't be like, yo, we're going to charge you $50 for absolutely nothing. They know that's not going to work for their poor fans. And that's like just a testament to how kind of not out of touch, but just kind of like, I don't know, absent-minded, I guess, the people who run AEW are. Not, I wouldn't say the actual people who own AEW, but people like Cody and Brandy Rhodes. I think they're just like so delusional and up their own ass that they kind of think this is an okay thing. And it's like a membership. I think the only memberships I've flirted with in adulthood are like to movie theaters, and it's kind of like you're not really getting anything that great, but you're also helping out a business to survive. Like your membership is like helping them program new things and get people in there to do like Q&As and shit like that. It's like actually helpful. This you're just fucking throwing $50 out for something that should be free. This is like an insult. I think last I saw today, I think Brandy Rhodes deleted her Twitter account because I'm sure the backlash to how fucking tone deaf this is and horrible of a thing to do, to be like, oh, if you want to be a women wrestling fan, you also have to pay this membership per year in order to prove yourself, and it's just fucked up. So I think it's a ballsy grift, and I think it's amazing if it worked. And I don't think they're quite there yet. I think maybe if Cody or one of the Young Bucks tried to do this, it might have worked a little better, but I don't think Brandy's at that level of being able to just like siphon money out of all these losers.
I just thought about this now, and why didn't I do it? I should have went on Twitter and did a search on, hey, Cody, I can't afford this $49. How do I explain this to my kid? Because she wants to join. That had to have happened a couple times, right?
I should have just sent that out. Fuck. There was one. Are you done with your topics?
I'm totally done.
Okay.
It's your turn now.
So this was a topic, but yeah, those AEW the new dolls came out, their first dolls, and there was some mishap where they didn't show up at Walmart because Walmart doesn't give a fuck. They sell 7,000 million products a day. They're not like, where's the AEW dolls? They don't fucking care. They have milk. They have meat. They don't need like some fucking frivolous toys. But so there was a meltdown on Twitter, and I just looked at, like, I just typed in AEW Walmart in a search bar of Twitter all day. And there was one. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but there was one. Some guy saying, just went to 5 Walmarts. My daughter just got a spine surgery 2 weeks ago, and this would have really cheered her up. And he tagged Cody, and it's like, dude, I don't think she fucking cares if she gets a Young Bucks doll. Like, and you could have ordered these from Ringside Collectibles 6 months ago, and you would have had them at your doorstep. And
you can still do it now, and they have a fucking coupon code, man.
I know. That's what's going to make this wrestling merch Grail main subject interesting, because I don't think like base level wrestling fans really know collectability, because there's people. I saw somebody post today trying to sell the whole set for $375, and it's just like, you could literally order them for retail price still right now. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't think people who are into that stuff really know how this works. So it's very interesting to follow. Actual topic. Let's see. Raw Underground. I can't believe this didn't come up. So if you guys don't,
I figured you'd bring it up, so I let you have it.
So if you guys don't know, Raw is failing miserably. It's having the worst ratings ever. It's just like toppling, and they're panicking, I guess. And it's because of Pain Pigs, the Vrtl Pros programming that comes on Monday at 9 p.m. on Twitch. And they're like, we gotta come out with this wild idea. And I guess the real wild idea was supposed to be they're starting some faction that looks like the stereotype of like what an anti-fascist person looks like, with the, the black mask, that fucking bullshit that Republicans try and frighten you with, or whatever the fuck it is. But so I guess they did that. I fast forward right past that. I didn't even see that, but supposedly that was like the big controversial thing. But the other thing that I thought was the main event, I think everybody else did, is this new Raw Underground, which is Shane McMahon doing like a there was like a Chikara angle that was happening last year that people are trying to say, trust me, there's no one in WWE that's like, oh, let's rip off Chikara. Because this shit, I watched a lot of movies on HBO and Cinemax in the 90s. I was really into the underground martial arts scene. And this is just right out of like Blood Fist, or like Angel Fist even, or Ring of Fire, just a million movies, Lionheart. This is just like a million movies. These men in this dark brown room, this warehouse room, in wife beaters and fucking jeans fighting. And it's real bad. It's one of the most surreal bad things that has ever been on Raw in the history of Raw for the past 30 years. It's just on another level where I watched it and I was like, the last time I got that feeling of watching something on Raw and being like, I can't believe this is happening right now, is when Jerry Lawler had a heart attack and they're still going, and he was just like fucking, I don't know, just probably twitching in a corner, and like by the call's just like, Jerry Lawler just had a heart attack. I don't know what to do. And you're just like, dude, cut the fucking show. Like, why is it still going? And he went through the whole show, and Jerry Lawler just dead in the corner. I haven't felt that way about Raw since this Raw Underground. It's I don't know, man. I know they're happy because the ratings did good, I guess, but they did good because it's so bad. It's just like, I implore anybody who has not seen this, just type in Raw Underground on YouTube, because it is on another level of terrible television. It's definitely, I think it's definitely going to be one of those things that Raw completely, or like WWE completely forgets about in like 3 weeks, and it's never mentioned again. And it's like in 20 years when somebody makes their wacky podcast, they're like, remember that time that WWE did their Raw Underground, and people like laugh about it. But while it's around, definitely watch it. There's a new faction in the Raw Underground trying to take it over, called the Hurt Business. They're trying to take over the Raw Underground from Shane McMahon. That's the other thing about Raw Underground, is I think the whole deal is it's supposed to make you think that Raw Underground has always existed, and they just never filmed it until right now. So Raw Underground has had this rich history, and we just haven't known about it until right now. So that's what I'm into. I might skip Pain Pigs next Monday just to watch more Raw Underground. Realistically, I'm going to DVR it. But did you see any clips of the Raw Underground, Al?
I saw everything, dude, and
Yeah, it just kind of had this very like Def Jam, Fight for New York type feel to it. And there was like rap music playing in the background. There was like sexy ladies dancing. It made me think about Cynthia Rothrock and Don the Dragon Wilson.
Yep.
And what they're up to these days. I didn't hate it, but it was definitely weird to watch, like Dolph Ziggler all of a sudden having to fight in the gulag. Like, man, what a fall from grace! That guy was just challenging for the title last month, and all of a sudden he's just fighting for food.
Yeah,
whatever they're fighting for down there.
I gotta assume the end game. I don't even know if they've gotten this far, but I've got to assume they're going to make like these branded Raw Underground stars like Dolph Ziggler and the Hurt Business and Babatunde, and they're going to probably have to square off with the real Raw stars at some point or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know. It's tomorrow's Friday. There might be a SmackDown Underground too. We don't know yet. We're going to have to find out. I mean, it's the same building.
That was my question. Like, are they just going to have like? How are they going to intertwine the two? Like, is Finn Balor going to be like, see me underground on Monday, man? Like, it's fucking on for real. Or the other way around? Like, is Samoa Joe going to challenge someone to come up? It's so confusing.
Real quick, and little card pros. This is just a little question for anybody out there that might know more about cards or something like that, or just has this memory in their head. But today I decided a new project where I'm just trying to look for... back in the day, if you're a younger person, back in the 90s and the 80s and even 70s, they made fucking trading cards for everything, and especially movies. And right now I'm looking for the worst or weirdest or just lamest movie sequel to get its own trading card set. Right now it stands, I think, at Free Willy Part 2. I don't think anybody needed a whole trading card set for Free Willy Part 2, but it exists. The things I looked for that I figured they would have a set don't, so I don't know if you guys out there, I know like I'm pretty sure RoboCop 1 didn't have a set and RoboCop 2 did, and that's kind of weird, but that's because I don't think they're expecting there to be a RoboCop 2. But if you have any weird sequel movie cards, let me know.
I don't have any movie sequels, but I definitely had a Harry and the Hendersons cards back in the day. They're pretty sweet. That
was one. My last one, it is about all of these independent wrestling shows running through a pandemic right now, and just it's not stopping. It's just getting more and more. Since last we talked about it, it's quadrupled. Now it's just like every weekend is WrestleMania weekend, and I just like, I don't know, man. I know I have no real influence, and I've been saying, I've definitely been speaking my mind on Twitter, and no one has challenged me, because you can't challenge me because you're in the wrong. There's no way to not to say you're right about this, but if like I said, I have no influence, but if this could just sway one person to not do these shows or just like not go to them, like, please, like, think about what you're doing. These wrestlers are independent wrestlers. They're not getting tested. They're definitely not getting tested. So when the promoter allegedly they're not. I mean, I'm sure, I'm not going to say they're all not getting tested, but I don't think a lot of those guys that are in IWA King of the Deathmatch were running out to get fucking tested after doing that shit. And so these, the promoters are booking these shows, and they're like, "Oh, we're taking all the precautions. Oh my God, you have to wear a mask, and we're having hand sanitizer." And it's just like, I don't know, you're not testing the wrestlers. It seems to be like a number one precaution, like a big one. So it's, I don't know. I think it's a lot of lip service. I don't think any of these people who are putting on these shows like really care about your safety. And as if a person, I know I'm like way hardline about this shit, but just listen to me. Like, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be safe, I'm going to wear a mask, I'm going to be however many feet away from this. You're still being a selfish person. You know how you can stay the most safe is just not go. Like, you can find something to do that is actually safe instead of endangering people, because you don't know what's going to happen. You could fucking pick this shit up and spread it to your family and do whatever, and just so you can see fucking people wrestle in real life. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just fucking dumb to me that people are still doing this at a crazy rate. Like, if it was just like once a month, like there's a couple shows, here and there, fine, that's whatever. But it's like every week there's shows inside of buildings that are closed off. There's, they're on TV. I'm watching them because I'm a hypocrite. And they're people just like, they're not wearing masks. They got the mask under their noses, all this shit. And these are people like, And, obviously the promoters are turning a blind eye. They're not like, oh my God, we're going to ban those people because they don't know what they're doing. They don't care because they need this money. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think independent wrestling is like a huge financial boom. Like I think you would make more money sitting at home doing Al's card breaks, honestly. I think if you took that money you were going to use to book some bozo to cut himself up, just spend it on a card break. You'd probably make more money, honestly. Everybody's safe. So please just think about what you're doing. Please stop being selfish. Don't think about yourself and your enjoyment. Think about the people this is spreading to. Think about what's going to happen when all the GoFundMes start popping up for people's funerals or your friends' funerals, or just because somebody lost their job. Because that's the other thing. Like today, Chicago or Illinois just hit its worst day cases-wise since May. So it's basically like everything that's happened for the past 2 months has been erased from people doing things, from people going out, from just not obeying the rules. So that's 2 more months, at least 2 more months. I mean, at this point, I think we're all stuck inside, technically stuck inside until there's a vaccine. But maybe, maybe hope beyond hope that we can get out before that. But it's just like, we're back to 2,000 cases a day, and we were down to like 600 cases a day 2 months ago. And it's just back up because people are doing shit. You don't realize it. You're like, I'm being safe, blah, blah, blah. And you're not being safe. You're just like letting it go because you want some enjoyment. And it's just like, and even God forbid, if people don't die, if people just don't get sick, people are still losing jobs over this. Like the longer you prolong this, you're just like putting my job in danger, a person who is trying to like live by the rules, because you won't stop doing dumb shit. And I'm sorry. I know we do a wrestling podcast, which is stupid, but wrestling is the absolute most dumb shit. So like you can refrain from going to live wrestling or, doing whatever at wrestling, or even wrestling if you're a wrestler out there. I mean, I guess, again, this is your livelihood. Maybe you are a full-time wrestler and you're just like, this is the only way I got to make money. And let me tell you, there's Cameo. You could sell your underwear. You could fucking have, like, you could autograph your underwear and sell it for more. You could do weird stuff on the internet. You could still make money, buddy, or lady. Like, anybody out there, you could still make money. So, I don't know. I just think people are being really selfish right now. And it's not just wrestling. It's obviously everything. And even if all these wrestling shows stopped, I'm sure that's just a fraction of the bad shit going on. But please just stop being selfish.
I have nothing else to say, dude. Card breaks are fucking free, man.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. You don't have to wear a mask, though.
You don't have to wear a mask. It's a fun time. There's a real thrill there. You're spending money. You're wasting money just like at wrestling. It's, yeah. I mean, even that, just online video poker, there's so many things you could gamble on. It's just going to get the same thrill as breathing and sweating all over other human beings and possibly getting them sick.
Next up, I'm assuming you're done.
I am done.
Buy now and sell later. The virtual pros once again pull out that crystal ball and predict which modern wrestling merchandise will become grails in the future. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros episode 115, and this is our big main segment, Buy Now, Sell Later. This is our future merch grails in the wrestling world, things that you should maybe, if you are a wrestling merch buyer, maybe you should think about putting to the side for a few years. These are things that we think might really increase in value over the next 20 years and be, the future, your son's all over print Razor Ramon shirt. And that's what we're going to try and predict now. I got a few things. Al has a few things. My first thing is, first off, I'm going to say that I think shirts as a whole are going to be kind of unpredictable in 20 years because a lot of them now are obviously being made by Pro Wrestling Tees, which uses a direct-to-garment kind of printing process. And technically, I mean, even if they survive that long, technically, if it's a direct-to-garment printing process, they could print a shirt from 20 years ago. 20 years from now, they could print it perfectly in 20 years. So technically, there might be like an endless supply of Young Bucks Bullet Club shirts. And it's going to be harder to tell because it's going to be easy to bootleg. So I think that's kind of like it's going to be tough. But there are a couple shirts that I do think are going to definitely highly increase in value in the next 10 to 20 years, and that is GCW is probably the number one most popular independent wrestling company right now. I don't think they're on the level of ECW was 20 years ago, but they have that kind of vibe that they're the independent wrestling company that I've even seen, like the type of Doggo Pro type Twitter, the normie wrestling Twitter. It's kind of leaked in there where you see like the normie wrestling Twitter people talking about it, kind of because Joey Janela is on AEW and he kind of brought them in. So it's almost that level of ECW, but so they obviously sell shirts. They've sold shirts for a while and merchandise, but there was a few really awesome shirts they made kind of before they really blew up, kind of when they were still only working in New Jersey, basically. And I think both of them are kind of like timeless designs. And I think they'll definitely, if you hold on to them, they'll definitely, as long as GCW doesn't like nosedive or do something really awful, I think they're going to be worth a pretty penny. The first one, this is kind of two, I'm cheating, but the first one is they did a NWA ripoff shirt, the world's most dangerous group, NWA graphic. Not the wrestling promotion, the actual rap music group, NWA. They did one of those. They did two of them, actually, but the first one, I think, is going to be worth a little more money than the second one. I think the second one will kind of be like the one you get stuck with that's still kind of expensive, but that first one was, printed before people were really up on JCW. It was before they had a website where you could buy them all over the world. It's a really sweet shirt, and so I think that was going to be worth holding on to, as well as they did a shirt early on of just Nick Gage's mugshot. And I think I own this shirt, but I can't. It says something. I think it says like hardcore or something. I don't know, hard fucking core. I don't know what it says on the back, but it says something on the back. But I think that's a pretty classic shirt. Kind of like any kind of iconic images like that are always gonna be highly valuable to people because 20 years from now, people don't care about obscure shit. They just want like an iconic look. So I think that Nick Gage mugshot shirt and the NWA ripoff shirt, I think those two shirts, as far as any kind of GCW merch goes, are going to be like number one.
I'm with you, dude. I thought about this as well. I think the Seozawa tees in 20 years could also be like a pretty big hitter in the future. But yeah, I also picked a shirt because I think shirts, video games, action figures, those are all mediums that I've dealt with for over 20 years now. So I feel like I have a decent grasp. But I was trying to think of like a modern classic shirt. And I think the closest thing that I thought of was the CM Punk Best in the World white ringer tee. Yeah. But he kind of left on a whimper. So I don't think that's going to happen. But what I do know about vintage tees is that if that tee is black, if that tee is like commemorating an event, if it has a date on it, those are like all things that like vintage people like nut over and want to pay an astronomical price for. So if you can find it cheap, my first one, you should definitely buy the Jushin Liger One Night Only NXT t-shirt.
Yeah.
I did do a search before the show, and a dead stock 2XL went for about $45. I would have been up on that so fast. But I think in 20 years, people are going to look at that shirt, and, Liger is just, he's timeless. And so I think it's that, and I think people are just going to look at that event being like, that's the only time he's ever shown up on WWE television. And so I think that could be a pretty heavy hitter in a decade or so.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. It's also one of the very, very few shirts that WWE has ever done that's, legitimately limited. Like, they did those NXT the NXT travel show posters And those, I mean, those were like immediately, like 24 hours later on eBay for twice the price. So they did that. But even like those Suplex City shirts they do, like they make so many of them, and you could get them online still. You don't really need to go to the show to get them. But that Liger shirt is definitely, I think that was like one and done. So that's definitely going to be one of the more rare WWE items in several years. My next.
If you want another hot tip, I did buy 2 of them, but I bought medium, and that was a fucking mistake. You should always buy large or XL.
Yeah.
No one's a medium in 2020, especially in these trying times.
Yeah, all people are doing is fucking eating. So.
Yep.
My next one is it's a world I don't really dabble in too much, is action figures, aka dolls. But I was trying to think of something from AEW that might be worth some money in some time. They're a new promotion. It's hard to tell. I'm not going to say my piece of the All-In canvas, but obviously that is going to be worth the most money because I own that. And one day I'll sell it though. But no, they just came out with these dolls. It's a new promotion. It's not always a sure thing. Like I don't think any first series TNA dolls go for any big money. ECW dolls, they go for money. I don't think they go for as much as I would have expected 20 years ago. I would think they would be fucking priceless, but you could buy them. They're not out of this world, but I think the other thing is like dolls just kind of sucked back then. They look like shit. Like they like the Sabu looks like Sabu, but New Jack sort of looks like New Jack, and there's a lot of sort of looking people there. But now dolls are crazy. And there's one that's coming out. It's not out yet. I think it's in the second series of AEW Dolls that I think might be something to keep your eye on. And that is the Darby Allin doll that's going to come out. And I think it's namely that one because he's still, like, I think he's like 26 years old now. He said in countless interviews that he wants to be done with wrestling before he's 30. He's like, he wants to do other shit. I know a lot of people say that and they never follow through, but he seems like a guy who's kind of just doing this because it's fun and it's like some kind of like artistic release for him, and he wants to do other shit. And the reason I single him out is because he's already on like a major level of wrestling, and I've never heard anybody say everybody loves Darby Allin. No one's ever like, fuck that guy. I've never heard anybody, even on Twitter, the most contrarian place in the world, I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about Darby Allin. He's this universally loved guy. This is going to be his first action figure, and it has a high chance of being his last action figure. And I think he's going to be a guy that everybody will remember as loving, unless he does something like horrible in real life. But I think he's always going to go down as like a very beloved wrestling character. And this is his chance. It's not only his first doll, it might be his last. So I think that's one to keep an eye out on.
I'm on the PayPal screen right now, Mike. You fucking talk me into the building on that one, baby. I'm buying 5. You know what, though? Regarding AEW figures, I might buy the first set. I can't think of, like, one flop, like, first set ever.
Yeah.
When it comes to wrestling figures. Especially, like, AEW dies in 20 years. Mm-hmm. Those things are going to be worth a mint, I think.
I think I'm going to get a few of them. Like, I'm definitely going to get the Penta and Phoenix just because I like them.
Same.
Thinking highly about the Orange Cassidy, because that would be my second behind Darby Allin, where I think Orange Cassidy I still think has the maybe problem of just being a fad that no one understands in 20 years, but I think that has some high value increased probability too.
They were talking about this on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, my new favorite show. They were talking about like the technology that has to go into putting his hands inside of his pockets.
Yeah,
which is something I didn't think about, which is, I didn't think about that either. Staying on the wrestling doll wave, my figure knowledge is like, it's kind of there. But if the Hasbros are any indication, the ones that go for the highest amount of money, aside from like the ones that are like mail-ins or like factory mistakes, they're kind of like your 90s like weirdo characters like 1-2-3 Kid, Adam Bomb. I think Ludwig Borga goes for like $350. So this is like my honest, like stone cold lock of the segment. I would buy up every Kairi Sane elite figure you can right now. For 2 reasons. Do you know what collectors like, Mike? They like Japan.
Yep.
Am I wrong there?
You're not wrong.
I don't think so. You know what they like even more? Japanese women.
Yep.
And this figure, It's the only one they've done of Kairi Sane. It's already double MSRP. It's $40 already.
Damn.
So I feel like if you want to get in early, it's now. And just throw them away, because I think that figure in 20 years is going to be maybe $1,000. I don't know. Money's going to be so crazy.
Man, yeah, I didn't think about that, but that is very true. That is kind of like, I mean, that does really lead in to my next one, or my last one. But on the same wave, before I get into my actual last one, that the Japan thing, I do think I didn't pick anything from Japan on purpose, because if you're buying Japanese stuff from American people, like, you're getting scammed. Like it's just you're paying.
Like, what the fuck, bro?
Like, you're paying for somebody else to do the legwork, which is fine. I do that a lot too, and I'm lazy. Like, I know how to download movies illegally. I just pay for them because I don't feel like going through it. So, so Japanese stuff is always going to be valuable to Americans. There's never going to be a time when it's not valuable, because it's just anybody who has it can dictate the price. So. It's like, it's unfair to say this Japanese thing is going to be worth a lot of money, because it's worthless in Japan. It's just, it's worth more here because it's hard to import.
I'm going to edit this out, man. I don't like this at all.
But with that said, on the same wave as Alice, trying to think of a WWE thing that could possibly be worth money in 20 years. And I didn't think of figures for some reason, even though I picked the fucking AEW figure. But I was trying to think of other things in WWE, and I was like, shirts are out. And kind of on the same wave, I was thinking of Asuka. Asuka is definitely going to go down as the most successful Japanese person in the history of WWE, and like WWF too, like the whole entire history of the company. I don't think they're ever going to have somebody as successful and as popular as her. She's going to be, the Stone Cold of Japanese people in WWE. And with that said, she has shirts, obviously. I think all of her stuff, her first figure, all that stuff is going to go for money. But she makes those masks, and those masks are very delicate. And they're hard to... I mean, you might fucking ruin them before you even get home after buying them at a show, because they're just delicate, shitty plastic. And people are into masks and stuff like that. And it's a unique product of somebody who's going to have a very iconic career, especially looking back in 20 years, is like, revolutionizing... foreigners in women's wrestling and WWE and blah, blah, blah. And there's several of those masks. And like I said, they're very delicate. So I think, and they're cheap. They're $10. So I would just, if you're putting in a WWE order for frivolous shit anyways, just buy a couple and just stow them away, because, I mean, even if they go up to 20, that's still 100% profit. So I would definitely hold on to those masks.
I'm still fucking rattled, bro. I don't think I can talk anymore. My last one, I think it's kind of a layup. I mean, I also deal with video games. I've never seen a wrestling game outside of WWE 2K get released or re-released digitally, rather. And I could be wrong here, but I think I'm going to nail this one. And it's, if you can find a copy of WWE All-Stars, buy it right now. You can't buy it on either Xbox or PS Marketplace. A physical copy for 360 goes for about $50, while the PS3 version goes for $72.
Holy
those
shit!
Are sold.
Wow.
Exactly. Def Jam Fight for New York is right now, I think, $180 game, and I think in like 10 years, like All Stars is going to be at that level too. Like, it's a quirky game. I don't think it might have done pretty decently sales-wise, but I mean, so did Def Jam. Like, when I worked at a video game store, like, we couldn't give those things away, like, when Christmas time came around and people traded that shit in. But I think it's, like, campy enough and good enough to where people are going to seek this out and want to play it, and it's going to be hard to find in 10 years. So if you see it like a local flea market or whatever, pick it up. Because, I mean, right now they're going for a ton of money, so imagine in 10 years how much they'll go for.
I didn't even think about that. For some reason, it's one of the few games I had on GameCube that wasn't like a Nintendo game. So in my mind, I always think of it like it's a GameCube exclusive, but I forget that it was for other systems too.
And that was it. Any bargain hunters, any flippers, let us know. Put us on game. We put you on game. Fuck. Let's work. Next up, the mixtape. We got Rey Mysterio, M-Dog 20, Scorpio Sky, and Prince Devitt. And that's a shoot. Please stay tuned.
Pull some of that Fuck it up, bitch. Do it on the dick. Blow it back quick, but I never been a trick. I'm in the living room, back to back with your bitch. She only let me hit it cause a nigga got hits. Fuck it up, bitch. Do it on the dick. Blow it back quick, but I never been a trick. I'm in the living room, back to back with your bitch. She only let me hit it cause a nigga got hits. I'ma let a bitch choose, you gon' pick her out. You gon' put her on your page, I'm gon' dig her out. You gon' cut her with the bitch, I'm finna kick her out. Getting money, fucking bitch, what a nigga bout. Fuck it up, bitch. Do it on the dick. She only let me hit it cause a nigga got rich. I been sippin' lean like a nigga got sick. You coolin' with your homie like that nigga ain't snitch. I keep a Glock with a drum, call it Nick Cannon. You gon' let her in your car, leave a bitch stranded. I'm a real hard.
And welcome back to Virtual Pros, episode 115. The last segment of the night is the mixtape. If you have any suggestions for matches or anything wrestling related to watch, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. My first pick of the night is Matt Sydal versus Scorpio Sky, Wrestle Society X. I didn't get the year and I didn't get the episode, so I'm pretty much worthless here, but trust me, it was Wrestle Society X. This has been requested by a tried and true Vert bag, Daniel from the UK. I know it's been a minute since you've asked for us to watch this, so here you go. This clip, it starts off with Scorpio Sky. He gets his 8x10 ripped up by Matt Sydal's valet. I didn't catch your name. I was wondering, do you think modern indie wrestlers still get like 8x10s made up? Like, I know I have like an autographed Okada somewhere, but like I don't want to frame it. Like, I feel like that photo size is, I don't know, reserved for family members, people you love. So if I can make a suggestion, if you're making 8x10s and you're an indie wrestler, just make cards. It's easier, and as you've heard the past hour or so, they're worth money. So the reason why Daniel wanted us to watch this, I'm assuming, is because we have two special guest commentators here on the call, Pusha T and Malice, now known as No Malice, I think. They're better known together as the Clips. I guess they just got done like performing on Society X. So, Mike, if you could pick one Clips song to hear live with other wrestling fans, what song would you go with?
Mr. Me Too, definitely.
That was mine, man. Pusha T, he's convinced that it's over when a Scorpio Sky hits Matt Sydal with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, which I thought was pretty precious. I mean, like, that move is like whatever to us, but like maybe to someone who didn't watch wrestling, you might think that someone got their back snapped, and I'm guessing that's what Pusha T thought here. He was also very impressed with what I call the Naito drop kick, where the guy's on the apron and he jumps in on the bottom rope and does that deal. But Pusha T didn't really care for that pretty nice tope con hilo, which I thought was pretty funny. Malice, he decides to root for Matt Sydal after saying he was initially rooting for Scorpio Sky, which is kind of fucked up, but overall, this was 4 minutes long, and you get to watch the Clips watch wrestling, so I fuck with it. What'd you think?
Yeah, first off, shout out to friend of the show, Mr. Dr. Keith. He worked on Wrestle Society X. I don't know exactly. I think he made it. Okay. I think this is a brainchild of Dr. Keith. Not completely. I think somebody else came up with it, but he did work on the show, and I'm not gonna share it, but he did show me the show notes and like the rundown from this episode, and it's pretty wild, like how in depth like the stories behind these wrestling matches are. Like, he showed me everything written out, and they had like 2 season long plans for Matt Sydal already and shit like that, and it's pretty crazy. Cause I never think, I always think, wrestling's stupid, and they only think about the match, and the fans are the ones who put too much time overthinking things. But no, it's actually behind the curtain too. I watched Wrestle Society X when it came out, and I don't even know if I finished the whole season, because like the writing was on the wall. Sorry, Dr. Keith, but I think by the first episode I was like, this isn't gonna last. This is very bad. And it's not to me. I didn't think it was bad, but I think because there was a lot of weird shit. It was kind of like a proto Lucha Underground, and I just knew that some of the elements in it were just not going to fly. And I was reminded of some of those elements watching this back, because I was also never watched this back, never thought about it. Because I think it was the first episode. I think this is pretty early on, too. I think this is like the second or third episode or something like that. But the first episode, I'm pretty sure, was 3-6 Mafia. And just the level of how bad the commentary was, I was just like, this show's a wrap. Like, this is not, like, I don't think you can have people who have never seen wrestling before or like know a little about it just being commentary just because they're famous. Like, I don't think that works. And the Clips is no different here. Like, it's just dudes who are famous or, performed on the show, being called to do commentary with very professional commentary guys that are very good at what they're doing. And it sounds awful because like there's two completely different levels of people here. That doesn't never seem like the music guest really wanted to play around with the commentary. I mean, I don't remember every single episode, so maybe some different music people were into it, but the ones I remember, no one was ever super into it. So that kind of hurt it. I also was reminded how in your face everything was in Wrestling Society X. The camera cuts are something that were, completely ahead of its time in 2006, 2007, I want to say, when this came out. But now this is what Raw does. I think this is still a little more extreme than Raw, but it was, at that time, it was like unheard of. And I don't think people's brains were ready for that. So that was very in your face. It's just like a lot of loudness. It's a lot of like stereotypical, when people want to make fun of MTV culture and stuff like that. It's just a lot of energy drink type shit, like Monster Energy, wow, in your face and shit like that. And I think, I think they were really trying to appeal to younger people. Obviously, it only lasted one season. So maybe some young people got into it, but I think overall just only loser wrestling fans like me watched it and were just like, yeah, I don't know about this. But yeah, the match was fine. It was nice to remember. Like, this brought back some memories for me of watching this in my old apartment in Albany, and how bad the commentary was on the musician side. But it was cool to revisit. I remember there was like some kind of, I think like the guy who actually owned or ran Wrestling Society X made like a Twitter and was like, let's bring it back. And I was just like, that's cool, man. We could move on. We did Lucha Underground already. We saw the fully realized version of Wrestling Society X. I'm going to get some very angry texts from Dr. Keith. He's going to fucking...
I know, dude. What is up with you, Mike? And just turning on your friends right now on Virtual Post episode 115.
He's going to unfriend me. He's going to say, hey, man, that was my blood, sweat, and tears on those pages. The shit he showed me was amazing, though. But yeah, I don't think the world was ready. I think the world was ready for Wrestling Society X when... Actually, no. I don't even think the world was ready when Lucha Underground came out. The world's still not ready. True. So maybe they're right. Maybe they should bring it back. Tone it down a little less Monster Energy drink this time around, though. We don't need all that. My first match of the night is speaking of Monster Energy, it's kind of on the same wave. It's Super Dragon versus M-Dog 20 from this is from E3. This was recommended by a friend of the show, listener of the show, Don. I think he just posted this in Discord without explanation. I didn't even I saw E3 and I was like, I guess it's the game convention, but I wasn't sure. Because there was I asked and it turned out it is the game convention. But yeah, this was uploaded a month ago. You're uploading this rare thing that I don't think many people have seen. Maybe put a little energy into the description there. I don't remember the uploader name, but come on, man, have some pride in your work. You're just putting up this real weird footage that has probably been unseen for over 10 years, and you're just like, it doesn't need any description. But anyways.
Probably longer. I mean, Backyard Wrestling came out on PS2, so this is probably like a 17-year-old clip, I think
this game came out in 2003. So it was probably either 2003 or 2002 E3 this happened. So this is the finals of like some kind of demonstration tournament they did there. I know Josh Prohibition was in it too. I can't remember who else. But I chose this match because it's just like weird footage. And I'm not really that up on Super Dragon. I know he's like a favorite of people who've watched independent wrestling for the past 20 years, but I saw a couple of his matches, and I think like you'll see highlights of him like literally hurting somebody, which again, those woke people out there, they find some things cool and other things not, and they seem to find Super Dragon actually hurting people really cool. and like other things not. And it's a little hypocritical to me, but so that's all I know about the guy is that he like literally hurt a lot of people with his moves. And I just figured out not too long ago what his mask was. I just thought his mask was like a weird, like Great Muta or like even a Star Wars kind of Imperial Guard type of design. But no, the little eye part is a dragon's mouth, and then there's eyes on top. I literally figured that out like a few weeks ago, where I was like, oh, it's a dragon. I never knew that. But you know, he looks like a tall white guy in pajamas otherwise. So it's kind of just like, I was never like, I need to check out Super Dragon, outside of him literally hurting people because he looks like a tall white man in pajamas. So I was like, I'll put this on. Maybe it'll lead me again. A lot of hot takes from me this episode, I guess. I'm going to get a lot of hate for not really giving a shit about Super Dragon, but hey, prove me wrong. But, so that was a good reason to pick this. Also, another thing I didn't realize until maybe this match, I've always known Matt Cross, aka Son of Havoc from Lucha Underground, aka Matt Cross, aka M-Dog20. I always thought the name M-Dog20 was kind of some, because he's a straight edge dude, always comes some kind of like, because straight edge people are always like, we're drinking, and like they like sarcastically think stuff that's like drinking and smoking imagery is funny. So I always thought M-Dog20 was like kind of like Mad Dog 2020, and he was just like, oh, that's funny, that's like a liquor, and he thought that was funny to be a straight edge guy named M-Dog20. But they bill him as from Los Angeles, and he's listening to gangster rap in his entrance. So I'm thinking that M-Dog20 was supposed to be a West Coast gang member, and he doesn't really look like a West Coast gangster. But so if that really was his gimmick back then, I get it. He's a backyard wrestler, so you have stupid gimmicks. But I don't know. I just never put two and two together, and it's just a weird gimmick for Matt Cross, a very straight-laced looking white man. But anyways, this was if you told me that there was going to be a wrestling match at E3, I would expect it to be real dog shit, like a real just dog shit presentation, production, everything around it. But this is like a really good presentation. Like they have like an MC that's describing everything, and he's like very good and concise and well spoken, and it's loud and everybody could hear it, and people are going nuts. And I don't know, this is early 2000s. I'm not the most well versed in the style of independent wrestling in the early 2000s, but to me this seems like they're doing more of like a demonstration where they're just doing like all their cool moves, so people could be like ooh and ah, and that's fine. It's at a convention who may not be a lot of people who are wrestling fans here, but yeah, just everything about this was like surprisingly a very good demonstration and presentation. So I was very, I think just on that alone, it's watchable and you should watch it. Outside of that, this is incredibly poor video quality for 2003. I know it's 17 years ago, but this is like, at this point, this person who recorded this probably had a digital video camera. So there's no excuse for this to look like this, but this was probably like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, because like I said, I imagine this wasn't a very well distributed thing. Like who the fuck was checking for this? And outside of that, M-Dog does a really cool move that maybe other people should try, but it's probably really hard to do. And there's a part where he's doing the thing where he's holding on to the bottom turnbuckle, and Super Dragon takes his feet in front of him and tries to pull him off the turnbuckle, and M-Dog turns that into a backflip. And that is incredibly acrobatic. And again, I don't think there's probably many people who could do that, but if you can do that, wrestlers out there, you should be doing this move, because it's actually the crowd did not give one shit when he did this, but I don't think they're really a wrestling fan. As a wrestling fan, I thought that was super impressive. But I went into this thinking this wasn't going to be that much to write home about, outside of like a curiosity piece. But I think it's a pretty cool like piece of nostalgia.
Not much else for me to add. It was always a childhood dream to go to E3, because I grew up with like EGM and GamePro, and like it got heightened during this time, specifically 2002, 2003. I think my friend and I tried to start a blog to get press passes to go to E3. That didn't work, obviously. But I thought I think it'd still be cool to go, but I don't even think it's open to the public anymore.
No.
So there's a person calling the match over the house speakers, and I personally don't think this ever works. Like, they did this at Hood Slam, and it drove me nuts. And so, I mean, for me, like, I don't like this at all.
I hate it. I otherwise hate it, but for like being at a convention where you have to do this, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I can see your point. I think there was one part where he's like kind of filling the backstory in. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you have a point. Speaking of noises in the background, Genie in a Bottle starts playing midway through this match. And then Bye plays. And I think Super Dragon is a hard man. And I was just cracking up thinking about how mad he was having to wrestle to this.
That Genie in a Bottle, I think, is because like the film looks so washed out, and just the audio quality, it seemed like a lot sadder than the real Genie in a Bottle. I don't know what it was about, but it seemed way more depressing than the actual song where they were wrestling. So that's another reason to watch this, honestly.
I would love a chopped and screwed version of Genie in a Bottle, Mike. Maybe work on that for me one time. Speaking of moves, Super Dragon steps on M-Dog's wiener, and I got a really big reaction from E3. But overall, I mean, there was a scaffold right there for someone to jump off of, and they didn't fucking use it. So this gets a big 5 out of 5 pass from your friend Henny Omega. I didn't like it. My last match of the night is Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar. SmackDown 12/11/2003. Dominic Mysterio, or Guerrero, whichever side you're on, he looks like he was about 5, and he's wearing the longest chain I've ever seen on a human being. You know, granted he's young, he didn't pick that chain out, but like it goes down to his belly button, so I blame the parents on this one, even though it's kind of a flex. Next to Dominic is this other little boy, and he has on a Tito Ortiz flame beanie, which is not tight. That kid probably grew up to be an asshole. He's probably in Hunting Beach right now, not wearing a mask, yelling at Walmart workers about AEW figures. Guaranteed. Brock Lesnar, he does, during the match, he does what I could best describe as a crucifix bear hug. It's like the Jinsei Shinzaki crucifix camel clutch, but he's like making the other person hug themselves, which is now my favorite Brock Lesnar move. It used to be the Brock Lock, which is also on display here, but I just think that move's really humiliating, to make yourself hug yourself so tight that it hurts. I won't spoil the ending because I think it's incredible. Some may say that it might be a Hollywood ending. Mike liked that one. That was for Mike. But overall, this was a little bit over 10 minutes. And this match was like jam-packed. And it kind of solidifies my opinion that it's not Vader. It's not Sid. I think Brock Lesnar is the best big man of all time. And it's not even close. This was incredible to me. What'd you think?
So they start off the match, and the commentary says something about the hometown crowd for Rey Mysterio, and then they zoom in on his family. But they pause before they say it's his family, so I'm just like, this is fucked up. They're just showing a bunch of Latinos in the crowd. When they said hometown crowd, that's kind of fucked up. And they all look depressed too. Like no one looks happy. And then they say, oh, it's his family. But either way, this is like, I don't know. This, as far as when showing the families or, you know, people, relatives in the crowd for sympathy, as long as that's been going on in wrestling, this was one of the worst times. It was just bad. They all looked so sad and like they just not give a shit and they just wanted to go home.
They're watching their dad have to fight Brock Lesnar, though, man. They were sullen for a reason.
So this is 3 out of 3 on the mixtape segment. This is my third hot take of the night. I don't think this match is that great. I think that was
Vrtl Pros episode 115. Hit us on. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to tell you exactly why this match wasn't so great. It's crazy that I think Brock has had more matches like this in this time period. I don't really remember. I was like watching wrestling sporadically. But it's insane how much more overpowered modern Brock Lesnar is compared to 2003 Brock Lesnar. And I think that's kind of the problem with this match for me, is that I know of overpowered Brock Lesnar that is just an unstoppable machine now. And they're like, you know, they're really selling on commentary, you know, the underdogness of this match, of how small Rey Mysterio is compared to this unstoppable monster Brock Lesnar. But they're not wrestling that match. Like, they're trying to wrestle that match, but I don't think that's Brock Lesnar's specialty. And you know, everything they do is fine. Like, it's not like they're fucking stuff up, but it's just like, I don't really think they're telling that story that they're trying to tell. There is, I mean, for more emphasis though, when the match starts, Brock mimes like a tiny thing in his hand and says, "You're just a little guy," and then he turns to the crowd and does the hand gesture and says, "He's just a little guy," and that is the most amazing part of this match. It's so good. But yeah, after that, it's a lot of like Rey Mysterio is a good wrestler, and he's done this underdog thing before, so it's fine. But it seems like he's getting a little too much. Like, it just seems like more of a back and forth match than an actual underdog against an unstoppable monster. Like, they're trying to say he's doing underdog stuff, but he's kind of just doing his moveset, and he's doing it successfully. And then Brock Lesnar does his moveset, and he does his successfully. So it's not really, it's not like, I don't know. It's not as many reversals as you would think it should be. And I know I'm getting a little too technical and nerdy, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's this great underdog story that they want it to be. Although I'll back Al up, that pretend submission that Brock does is amazing. It's, this is obviously a lot before his UFC days, because that is not a real submission he's doing. He just made that up, and it looks cool, but I don't think it would hurt anybody. But there's newer.
This is how Terry Funk was holding Mimi Hagiwara in that photo, dude.
It kind of was. But yeah, if you're an up and coming wrestler who has kind of like a hard man aesthetic, maybe watch this match and study it and pick up the submission, because like I said, it looks cool. I don't think it would hurt anybody, but it looks really cool. Yeah, and outside of that, technically it's not a bad match. I just think it doesn't tell the story it's trying to tell as well as people think it's being told. And it does have the greatest ending ever. It is, I actually whooped when it happened, because I don't remember this time in wrestling at all. And it is amazing how apeshit the crowd goes for this ending. It's only as apeshit as I would imagine myself going. So I was just like, holy shit. So I really, even though I wasn't hot on this match, I really want to go back and revisit this period in WWE history, because I think it's right up my alley. So with that alone, even if you're a hot take contrarian like me and don't think this match is all that great, it's worth watching for the ending. My last match of the night is from 2009 New Japan Pro Wrestling, the finals of the G1 Tag League. This is Taguchi and Prince Devitt versus Carl Machine Gun Anderson and Giant Bernard, a.k.a. Prince Albert, a.k.a. what the fuck was it? Oh, Lord Tensai, a.k.a. Lord Tensai, yeah. I chose this match because I was reading the match lists and the synopsises of the old Death Valley Driver video review message board, Phil Schneider comps, and I kind of, in my mind, those Schneider comps ended in like 2004 or something, and there's nothing new on them. Like, everything on them is from the 90s or the 80s. And so I was reading like a match list for a newer one, and this match was on it. And I was like, holy shit, it's 2009. That's kind of like modern. And so Phil Schneider talked it up, so I was like, yeah, check it out. It's on the internet. It's easy to get. So yeah, that's why I put it on. And I'm kind of, the Pain Pigs thing is kind of like a distant cousin to the Schneider comps, because stuff like this and Rob Naylor's compilations, that's the type of stuff that I was really into. I think when somebody like puts their know-how into something and say, hey, these matches are good and here's why they are good, I like shit like that. So I was like, I'll put this match on. I think this is, as far as the other things I remember from being on the Schneider comp, this seems like kind of a little too modern. So I'll see if this is actually good. I also put this on because Carl Anderson just had a pay-per-view called Talkin' Shop-A-Mania that I saw that was polarizing. I think some people found it funny. I think a lot of other people were just like, what the fuck is this shit? And on top of that, he just signed to Impact Wrestling for a reported decent amount of money. And it's amazing that him and Doc Gallows have been grifting people, big wrestling companies, out of money for the past several years, without really not doing much. I don't think Carl Anderson has really done anything since New Japan. And even, I don't know, like the last year or so he was there with Doc Gallows, they weren't really doing that much. So they've just been coasting and getting these high paychecks to coast. So I was like, let's revisit a match where Carl Anderson is possibly good in it. And again, like I said, this is with Giant Bernard. This is where Lord Tensai was formed. This is where he learned the ancient arts and secrets of the Japanese. And he came back to America, painted up with the Japanese character tattoos all over him. And that's, this is his origin story. So if you're a big Lord Tensai guy, this is where he came from. one thing I heavily noticed to the point of almost annoyance, is that the ladies love Prince Devitt. Oh my God, man. There's a lot of women just yelping, Devitt! Like throughout the whole entire match. And that is really enamoring to think of, like, a woman's uncontrolled horniness throughout this whole entire match. Just like they can't control themselves. They have to yell it. He must have been really laying the pipe in Japan. He's probably had a lot of those Mimi Hagawara type, Terry Funk type pictures with random Japanese women, because these women are feverishly horny for Prince Devitt here, and it's pretty incredible, because this is pre new popularity of New Japan, where the crowds were a little more subdued. There's no commentary, there's no Kevin Kelly, no Cyrus the Virus, just fucking blowing wind all over the goddamn commentary. It's just like quietness and horny women just yelling Devitt over and over again. It's great. Outside of that, this match is so this started, I've said before, tag team wrestling for me is kind of hit and miss. I think WWE has effectively ruined tag team wrestling, but AEW is kind of bringing it back. They concentrate on tag team wrestling. They actually have good tag teams. So going into this, I was like, I don't know. This is 18 minutes. This might be a dud. But no, this is very good. This is one of the most extremely well choreographed tag team matches I think I've ever seen. I think, say what you want about the Young Bucks. I know a lot of people hate them, but I think they're a very good tag team, and I think they can back their shit up. But I also think they're incredibly sloppy. They're incredibly weak. A lot of stuff they do is real light looking. It's kind of lame, and that's kind of where we're at in 2020 as far as wrestling and tag team wrestling goes, where you kind of give them this leeway where it's okay when it takes 15 seconds to set up a dive to the outside, and it's okay that the one Jackson kind of grabs the other Jackson when they try and do the Meltzer driver, and you're just like, oh, it's fine, that's how wrestling is. But this is so much tighter than anything in modern wrestling. It just seems like kind of like Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat style, where they just went over move for move before the match and like executed everything perfectly. As a person who watches a lot of Shaw Brothers kung fu and martial arts movies, this is, and I watched those because of, one of the reasons is because of the fight choreography and how incredibly concise it is. And this is just like right up there. Like everything they do, there's not a missed moment. There's no waiting around for dives. It's just like, it's pretty perfect. And I don't think you mentioned Giant Bernard or Prince Albert in a lot of matches you could call perfect. But as far as tag team wrestling goes, this is like pinnacle up there. It's nothing like mind blowing. There's no like incredibly hard power bombs or anything like that. But just as far as like choreography and everything moving, it's just completely tight and amazing. Outside of that, at the end of this match, you are reminded that this was during the dark times of New Japan Pro Wrestling, when the Dudley Boys had the IWGP tag team titles, which is one of the kind of stick out as a sore thumb as far as, and they were back then, they were just they're passing it on to American tag teams to like kind of get some exposure or what. I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do, but it's weird hearing somebody call out the Dudley Boys in a New Japan ring after the end of the match. But outside of that, this was like surprisingly great, where the Schneider comps never let me down, but I was kind of just like, this is probably a good curiosity thing. But it was, this is up there, man. This is a very good match. What do you think, Al?
This is a perfect time to let everyone know that your favorite American seller, Al, actually has an Apollo 55 shirt, size medium. So Apollo 55 is Prince Devitt and Taguchi. $15 shipped. How about that? How about that, Mike? Am I ripping people off now? You fuck. Let me know. virtualpro64@gmail.com. Carl Anderson with the gun noises during the announcement is such a sweet touch. I like that a lot. And Taguchi, yes or no, Mike? Does he have a scummier hip swivel than Jimmy Del Rey?
No, I don't think so. It's scummy, but I think what really makes Taguchi scummy is his hair in this. I think without that hair, it's like 1,000% less scummy.
I don't know, dude. It's a tie, dude. Those are both really scummy hip swivels, man. Hase's was never like believable. I believe Taguchi, dude. That's nasty. During the match, Giant Bernard, he's fucking up Prince Devitt on the outside, and then he tells the referee, "I no touch. And I thought, I don't know, man. That's not good. You can't say stuff like that. I no touch. Maybe that should be the next drop on
maybe
the mix board. You should find it, dude. It's really funny. If anything, though, like you had said, though, this is a pretty solid reminder that at one time, Carl Anderson was not a bum by any means, because he was really fucking good in this match. And same with Taguchi. Like, I guess he's been, like, generally excellent, like, you know, throughout his time. But, like, he is showing out in this fucking finals match. And Prince Devitt, like, man, what a fall from grace, man. to have these women screaming for you, to now possibly having to fight at the Raw Underground next Monday. Life comes at you fast, and it's a reminder that everyone becomes washed one day, dude. Trust us. It happens. But yeah, I did not expect this match to be this good. And I do like this junior heavy versus heavy format, even though, like, you know, for the most part, juniors get hoed out. But this is, like, something to really seek out. This was excellent. I like this a lot. That was episode 115. I think it's a classic of the Virtual Pros podcast. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTLPros. Spotify, iTunes, leave us a review. We're close to 100. If you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. And yeah, Mike, any last words?
Hey, check out Pain Pigs for Mondays. VRTL Pros on Twitch. Send me the Twitch bucks. I don't know what they do on Twitch.
Fucking send a Twitch bucks, load up all of your tablets, put it on Twitch. Let's get those fucking viewer numbers.
Al's going to be doing card breaks on Tuesday. It's going to be Al card break Tuesday and Pain Pigs Monday.
Legitimately, I have True Heart 2020 cards coming in the mail in early September.
Is that where the
card breaks?
Is that where the card break happened, or did you have to go like some underground website?
Wait, no. So the card breaks that I follow, they're just on Instagram Live.
Okay.
I assure you, Mike, you watch one, you're gonna watch 5 of them.
Okay.
I'll link you later, dude.
Okay.
We're turning this fucking show into cards, baby. See you in 2 weeks.
Yep.